Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Camera Tuesday, we're going to talk about GoPro Hero 12. So let's dive deep into it. So GoPro 12 Black is basically Control C, Control V of GoPro 11 hardware. Basically, I'm reasonably sure if people open this puppy up, at best they will find a GPS chip removed and minor power rail improvement, but nothing major. Like it's Control C, Control V, flat out. And they have claiming, let that be very clear, claiming that they have fixed the overheating. Now, can you actually fix overheating if you have the same SoC? Well, there are few ways. For example, let's say you have SoC custom built for your load, and you go to a better manufacturer. Let's say you are starting with Samsung and then you went to TSMC and you shrunk the node from, let's say, 12 nanometer to 4 nanometer. Of course, same SoC design, you can get much more energy efficient. It can be done. Have they did that? Most likely not. So what they did do? Well, more likely what they did is improve the thermal bonding of the chassis to the SoC. Now, again, if you know recent smartphones, that's how they are fixing the overheating issue. It's just that nobody actually put thought into SoCs like, okay, how the heck it's going to dump the heat. So if you have the ability to dump heat efficiently, not an issue. For example, you can look into DIY Box amazing video of Canon R camera where he just put a small copper block so small that it actually fits inside the camera. No modification on the camera body. He just put it there and camera never overheated. The only limitation at that point was 30-minute recording limit. So you have to understand that many times there is more than enough room to actually make a good device. Companies either by time crunch, like this puppies are being released every year, so because of time crunch, or just maybe like, oh, it's much bigger issue than we thought, they may be fixing it. So what's the result? Result is underwhelming. Most of the people are suggesting that it's in their testing is that it's more or less the same how it was in GoPro 11. Some scenario they are getting few minutes more, because be mindful, GoPro 11 was not suffering from battery drain, it was suffering from thermal overload. So that same issue is here. Now, it's not an issue even in India if you are putting it on a motorbike and going lol. At that point, it has a basically giant air cooler. It does not have to worry about it. But static scenario, that is a big issue. So what about the price? Now, price is $400, which is very significant given the fact that GoPro 11 was launched at $500. This is a big deal. So Indian rupee prices should be around 40,000 rupees. More than that. Now 40,000 is the minimum. My expectation is 42 to 45,000. If it crosses that threshold, it goes into lol territory. But let's see what happens. Now there have been some serious improvement in user interface. Same thing is like they had the hardware, they're just like, oh, what if we polish it? Specific major improvement is that open gate selection can be done in the camera itself, meaning you just put your system and on the camera itself, rather than shooting in wide, basically square, you can be like, hey, I want to shoot in vertical. You directly shoot in vertical. Or you may like, hey, I want to decide what I want to do in post-production. You can go to square mode. So this gives much higher usability of that awesome function. So improvement, it's a small thing, but more than enough people will find it useful. Now, this is the first time they are technically giving you HDR. Now, be mindful, it's not single shot HDR. They do not have HDR sensor. So what they are doing is temporal HDR, meaning khachang, one high exposure, khachang, one low exposure, one high, one low, one high, one low. Consequence, FPS drops by half, meaning if you do 5.3K, 30 FPS is the maximum that you can get for HDR mode. You go to 60 if you let go of that HDR. Now, does HDR make a very big difference? No. Because be mindful, the sensor is tiny. So fundamentally speaking, it's not like, whoa, difference. It's like, oh, okay, I can see something, but don't expect too much. And do not expect it to magically improve your low light. And it does have 10-bit video recording, which mind you, at this point in time is kind of common for everything. So this is GoPro 12, Control C, Control V. So what are the real upgrades? Like the upgrades that you're like, no, I will pay for that. Well, first upgrade is new timecode sync for multi-cam setup. Now, timecode itself is like for professional people, shut up, take money. And if you are doing this sort of setup, multiple camera, it is compulsory. Otherwise, you will lose your hair trying to sync all the clips. So having timecode as a properly inbuilt function is like, shut up, take money. So this is a very good add-on. Now, on top of that, this is the primary reason why I hate all camera companies, Sony, Nikon, Canon, Panasonic, Fuji, whatever have you, is like all of these companies now, what if we F the customer? It's like, why? Like they have never crossed 1990s. This action cam has this technology. You may have never heard of. This is very latest technology known as Bluetooth. Super amazing technology, military technology. They never released it. Bluetooth. So what did this puppy do is like they figured it out. Hey, we have Bluetooth chip. Like heck, even my Canon 800D has that. They have Bluetooth chip. What if we receive audio from it? Because Bluetooth is designed to transmit audio and video. Like not video, audio. Basically two-way audio transmission. That's how we had basically Bluetooth headset back in the days where you used to use single one. 1990s. That's how long ago people built it. And they're like, what if we use the mic input? Now be mindful. Bluetooth is not designed the same way as this, like a Rode Wireless Go 2. This is a bandwidth, like a wide bandwidth data transfer. So high bandwidth benefit, it's like richness of the sound goes through. Bluetooth was designed in 1990s. So it had very narrow, like the compression on the audio stream itself is very brutal. Now, is it useful? Absolutely. For example, like again, if your camera is mounted outside of the car and you are inside of the car, you can still record properly, clean. It will be like talking over WhatsApp. It will be much better than just raindrops and all that, or useless. Again, this will be better, but you have to pay exponentially more. Most likely you already have this system, basically audio, Bluetooth audio system. So it sends as a mono track, and the basically Rode, why I'm saying Rode, GoPro onboard audio is still recorded on parallel channel. So now you can even switch. If you find, hey, when I was close to the camera mic was better, you can just switch it. And when you go far away, then you're like, hey, I'm using the Bluetooth one. Awesome. It does not do live monitoring. I think this is mostly because of either latency or because of basically battery consumption, but that's a minor gripe. However, you can still use playback. What does that mean? That simply means once you have recorded the clip, you can use that. And that really hurts me, like especially in this camera 800D. When I was on IIT Kanpur and I was doing recording basically I was taking interviews. I wanted to hear like, am I recording correctly? Is this working properly? I had no other way. Like I literally, in this camera, it has Bluetooth. It cannot even transmit audio. Like I get it, receiving audio, that's a bit advanced thing, like 2010 advanced. But like transmit, 2015, the camera is I think 2015 or 18. Camera is 2018 made. So this is one of those things. It's like, how the heck it took this long for people to realize, like, we have Bluetooth, what if we use it? Heck, if Samsung were still making cameras, I can guarantee you they would have put dual system. All Samsung phones have that from 2020. And this is another thing that I think somebody redesigned the CAD files and they're like, hey, we can actually put a normal threaded hole there. And the benefit of the threaded hole, you no longer need to buy GoPro specific things. If you have a whole ecosystem for small cameras like mirrorless cameras and all that, which runs on normal tripod, this is a normal tripod. Heck, if you have a quick release plate ecosystem, you can still put this. It's like, shut up, take money, go home. It's like, it's genuinely shocking that it took them this long to find out, but they did. So these are the upgrades. Like for multicam people, they're like, shut up, take money. For people who frequently need to record audio separately, they're like, shut up, take money. And tripod is just makes it more user friendly. So these are the serious upgrade that you are like, no, this is not gimmick, this is actually useful. So question becomes, for whom this is? Well, the lower cost, the fact that they did not launch it at $500, they launched it at $400, that's good. That makes it attractive. And nothing new unless you are a heavy user. What does that mean? That simply means, yeah, you will find the HDR and all that, but most people will be like, 30 FPS, I rather have 60. So it's one of those things that you may like it, but you're like, you know what, no. And for example, what is better? Like, yeah, 5.3K has more pixels. Yes, deal. Do you have 5.3K display? Or the people who are sending it to over Instagram, do they have 5.3K? Or in those sort of scenario, you may be like, temporal resolution is better than spatial resolution. Spatial as in the pixel by pixel, or temporal FPS. You may be like, hey, 120 FPS sounds better than 5.3K, basically 60 FPS. More FPS gives more smoother flow. And if you are doing action photography or GoPro, in those sort of scenario, you may be like, hey, more FPS is better. So for many people, it's like having that like above 4K, it sounds good, sounds fun. For pro level people, it's absolutely good, and prosumer, absolutely good. But for most people, it's like, bro, I'm good at 4K. So unless you are a heavy user, unless you already have like a whole ecosystem and you want to plan upgrade to a newer ecosystem of GoPros, those time code function, Bluetooth one will work, but for most people, it's not that whoa. If condition apply, there is some serious condition. If you do lot of low light, meaning majority of the time when you are doing the vlogging, quote unquote, and recording, it's evening, night, early morning, low light scenarios, and you have static use case, meaning overheating is not tolerable to you, you may find DJI Action 4 to be bit better. Do not expect day and night difference. However, it will be better in both of these two things combined. Low light performance would be a little bit better because again the sensor is larger, and basically the thermal capacity, because they are not doing too much, they can actually keep the SoC cool. So you may find basically this puppy to be more desirable. For everybody else, specifically if you already have GoPro 10 or already have GoPro 11, there is not actually a need to upgrade. Unless you specifically are at GoPro 10 and you're suffering a lot from overheating. And be mindful in those scenarios, and if you are in India and the ambient is the hot reason why it's overheating, yeah, I don't think 12 will help you that much. So be mindful. It's not for like, whoa. It's attractive, but it's not like, whoa. So we have to understand the market, because I specified the price drop was like, whoa, this is a big deal. Because you have to understand, financially speaking, GoPro is not doing well, because this is their graph, stock evaluation graph. And you can see in 2014, they were the peak, they were at the peak, then they dipped and they kept dipping. There was a bit of uptime from let's say around early 2020 to late early 2021. They were actually going up. So if you actually invested in 2020 and then waited to 2021, you would have actually gotten money up, but then they went down. So if you set it to 1 year, it's constant down. So they're not doing very great. And be mindful, it's not me saying it, they know it better than I do. And they started to figure it out in around 2015 and all that. So what did they do? They did try to jump into drone. If you do not know that, yes, GoPro did release a full-fledged drone, Karma drone lineup. They had like a whole production line, everything they could do, they did do, and they failed in that department. Of course, some people say this happened, that happened, but reality was DJI was there, is still there. So means they messed up. So they lost that part. So instead of expanding the portfolio, they did not expand it well enough. This is the dip. When they announced that they are closing the Karma lineup, and all the factory workers, everything, that's just like, poof, gone. Workforce also they reduced a lot. So drones already failed. They did try to jump into 360 cameras, and it's moderate success at best, but you can see they are not releasing 360 cameras every year. Why? There is this company known as Insta360. They're like, bro, 360 is our jam. Like how drone was like DJI's jam, Insta360 is like 360 is our jam. So GoPro is kind of trapped. They did try to jump into things, they did not meet it. Consequence, they are trapped in terms of their portfolio, and competition have flooded the market. What does that mean? Competition have flooded the market. Meaning, right now you can buy DJI Action 4 and Insta360 1R. And what does that mean? That simply means GoPro cannot charge as much money as they thought they could. And you can see that in last variant when the Action 3 was announced, they were like, Action 3 was announced later. So they're like, GoPro price was $500 and people were expecting this puppy to be $600. But because Action 3 started to sell enough, they're like, whoa, 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 what do you mean people are buying other things rather than GoPro? And you can notice that the price was cut. The price was cut from 500 to 100, basically by 100, and it had dropped to 400. So that's a big thing. So they no longer have multiple product portfolio. They no longer have the wiggle room in the cost. That's a very bad place to be. So on top of that, that itself, price locking, competition locking, all that is brutal. Smartphone have actually removed the needs, basically. Why? Smartphone have cracked the final barrier. Nowadays, you do not worry about your smartphone falling that much, specifically if you are someone like me who puts a giant case on it. It's not gonna do too much to it. And you can achieve almost everything with either adding gimbal or most time onboard itself, unless you are like specifically doing something brutal. You're like, we good, you good. And waterproofing, once the phone started to actually get waterproofing ratings, it became good. So the need for this sort of equipment has died. And you can see that, like this is GoPro 7, GoPro 8, GoPro 9, GoPro 10, I'm pretty sure 11, 12, it will look all the same. Like there is nothing fundamental difference where people are like, you know what, I need to buy this. And why the heck that is happening? Well, I think because of the financial strain, they do not have very good SoC engineers. Their SoC is the weak link. Everything else is awesome. It's just the SoC. If they have figured out SoC, I think the node of the SoC is still old. It could be more than like, let's say 22 nanometer worst case scenario. I hope it's more than that. I think it's 14. Really hope for that. But They are not developing SoC. And be mindful, last time that's why SoC was changed from GP1 to GP2. They were pushing GP2 for I think 4 models, and last models were horrible because they were overheating, they were literally glitching. There were people who were complaining where it's like, hey dude, my files were not corrupted, written files were corrupted multiple times, because again the same SoC they were keep pushing. SoC broke. So they went to a new SoC, but again this is the third time they are using the same SoC. And if they have this ecology where they're like, we're going to release one SoC and keep milking it for 4 or 5 years, yeah, it's not going to work that well. Not going to work. Not only you have competition, you also have smartphones who are actually getting new SoC, and some of them are like genuinely good. So either they go from like good performance to really good performance to like really good performance with less power consumption. So fundamentally the SoC is the weak link. So I do not expect any new improvement from GoPro even with 13. My expectation by 14 they should upgrade the SoC again. At that time we supposed to see some major changes. But until then it will be like the same thing, we have just improved this or that, and other functions that they are adding, it's not. I think they can add it to other models also, but they're choosing not to, just to differentiate. It was because software is the same, hardware is the same. It just disabled it like if I'm not mistaken, in Action 4, the time code, they have updated that, and Action 3 also shows time code option, but it's grayed out. I know it can add that, it's just that they're like, hey, people will not buy the, fourth. So it's one of those things. Market is not looking kind to them. They are not in a good position, and if they do not improve their SoC, where like this sort of bodies should not overheat, they really are in a tough spot. Let's just put it that way. So this was my presentation on GoPro 12. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.